I found a emergency contraceptive in my siblings' 12F room. My little sister has a habit of borrowing my things. I went in her room to look for a item of mine she might have grabbed and found a Plan B on her floor. I want to know what is the healthiest way to approach her without saying the wrong thing? I'm very hurt and disappointed in her and I don't want to emotionally hurt her in any type of way. I just love my little sister and I want to keep her safe and protected. Edit. The Plan B was used. The package was empty. Yikes. That's very concerning for a 12-year-old. Do you have a good enough relationship with her that you think she'll talk to you about something, particularly if someone is abusing her, and let's face it, any sex with a 12-year-old is abuse. If not, would she talk to one of your parents more easily? I think I'd approach it from a very casual standpoint at first rather than a, who is doing this to you, standpoint. You don't want to make her feel like she's going to get someone in trouble, especially if she's been threatened not to tell, but you need to build trust in order to get the truth out of her. One word of reassurance: the amount of my students that age that think they can get pregnant, or get someone pregnant, by means other than penis in vagina sex is many. Not tons, to my knowledge, but many. Still cause for concern. Please talk to your parents if that is a safe option. Call her school counselor otherwise. Are your parents safe people? If they are, I would go to them with this. A 12-year-old having unprotected sex is a serious thing. It's possible she's being abused. If your parents aren't safe, I would talk to her yourself. Tell her you found the Plan B. Ask if the sex is consensual. Does she even have her period yet? If so, you might need to help her with pregnancy tests if the Plan B didn't work. Try to be non-judgmental and just offer help and advice so she doesn't get defensive. Tell her you just want to help make sure she's safe. A 12-year-old. Well, you need to talk to her with a cool head. She doesn't need to be babied or criticized. She just needs a reality check. Lay out the truth and educate her. I really think she doesn't know any better, so no need to beat around the bush. Babying or criticizing can both just further enable the behavior. Just educate her and let her realize what the pros and cons. A 12-year-old cannot give consent. Tell your parents. I'm very hurt and disappointed in her. Well, that's weird considering she's a child and if someone is having sex with her it's not legally consensual and that last thing she needs right now is a relative judging her for potentially being groomed. Try to focus less on your own feelings and more on that fact that your sister may be being raped. It's entirely possible she hasn't had sex or anything and is just freaking out about being pregnant for no reason. I used to punch my stomach crying at 14 and I hadn't even seen a dick in real life then, so just keep in mind that you can't know anything for sure. Talk to her about why you were looking and what you found, and ask her if she wants to talk about anything. If you make her feel safe she's more likely to be comfortable telling you the truth. Good luck. Seriously. You need to get your parents involved. ASAP. She's 12 and you don't know what is going on. Could have been anything from consensual sex, although 12 is definitely not the right age to have sex anyways, to way worse things. You cannot handle it on your own. This is a very serious matter. At 12 I would be far more concerned that it was not consensual even if she thought it was via manipulation. You need a trusted adult to intervene. If your parents aren't safe, go straight to her school nurse or call your GP office. Your sister is probably very much in danger. Too many unknowns here. Is it hers? Could someone else dropped it there? Could she have found it someplace not knowing what it was? Did she find it someplace and put it there to see if anyone was in her room, knowing she'd get a reaction? How old are you? Would she tell you if you asked? Could you show her what you found, ask if she knows what it is and take it from there? If you can talk to her, make sure she feels safe enough and trusts you enough to talk to her. Please follow up, we're all concerned. Explain why you went into her room and found it. Ask her about it. Start the conversation, without judgment. You're there to help. Don't come from that angle of being disappointed, because that will likely make her shut down. Just tell her you found the plan and that you're feeling scared for her and you want her to understand where you're coming from. That is absolutely terrifying. She's still a child. How are you, hurt and disappointed? 1. You don't know what happened. She could have been raped, but you're here asking Reddit what's the healthiest way to bitch her out. 2. This isn't about you. She didn't do anything to you. Are you close? If so, you can tell her what you found and tell her you're available to talk if she's going through anything. You can also take the dishonest route and randomly start a conversation about because an emotional baggage of sex. Ask her if she would like to talk to you about anything. Let her know that you care about her, and that you are concerned for her well-being and safety. If needed, tell her what you found on her floor. You also need to let your parents know for her well-being. If she is sexually active, they should talk with her and consider birth control. You are a great sibling. The most important thing is to not judge your sister and tell her she can tell you anything. I agree with the commenters saying you should just ask her about it without making assumptions. Talk to her about consent. I would also show her resources like Scarlettine which talk about consent. Are your parents safe people to talk to? I thought my mom was when I came to her with my sister's pregnancy test as a teen, and she definitely was the wrong person to turn to. Don't promise to keep anything a secret until you know she's safe, because you might not be able to keep that promise. So a few things. I'm a case manager and it's more common than you think for 11 to 13-year-olds to have sex. Wish it wasn't, but when kids don't get attention at home they sometimes look elsewhere. Don't shame your sister for this, it will only create further issues. I would bring up the plan B, see why it was used. Maybe she has been sexual with someone, not intercourse, and doesn't realize she can't get pregnant from that oral alone. There are so many possibilities. I would treat this as an abuse situation. That doesn't mean that is what you're dealing with, but it's best to be cautious. This is my advice as someone who was abused. 1. Talk to your sister first. Try not to embarrass her or act like it's a big deal, even though it's very concerning. Most arguments are caused by tone of voice. Keep it calm and remind her of your positive intentions and love for her. Don't express your disappointment. That may cause her to close up and not divulge information that could be related to abuse. You could try researching ways to make someone feel comfortable sharing about abuse. 2. Have a frank discussion with a trusted adult, family member. 3. If necessary, contact the proper authorities. First, consider your feelings. Why are you disappointed? What has she done wrong? Let's say she used the plan B because she had unprotected sex. I guess she already knows that's not safe and therefore took the pill. In that case, I'd tell her that plan B is not a safe method to prevent pregnancy since it can fail. Maybe she was having sex with protection but it broke, then she's doing what she is supposed to. In either of these cases, I'd ask her who is he sleeping with and make sure it's with someone her age and consented. If it's not, then tell someone you both trust, an adult if possible, and ask her to end the relationship. Tell her the dangers of abusive relationships and tell her red flags about them. She might identify her with that. I would say approach her like an adult and ask if she needs any help. Don't criticize or tell her off or get angry. Ask her if she needs your help. There is always the possibility that the plan B does not belong to her. I am 29F from the UK. When I was 17 or 18, I had to go and get emergency contraception for 2 of my friends under my name, as they had already had emergency contraception in their name that month and weren't allowed another. So this is a potential answer. If it was her. At least she was clever enough to get emergency contraception and she isn't pregnant. It's very concerning that a 12-year-old is engaging in sex. She is a child and is unable to consent. I would be very concerned about her because someone may be grooming, abusing, and/or sexually assaulting her. Please tell your parents immediately. This is very serious. The IG account at sexpositive_families is real helpful for positive sex conversation. It is more for parents to children, but maybe you can find information and mix it with some siblings' flair. Good luck. Here's a link to all different topics. She has bigger problems. Your hurt and disappointment needs to STFU. I mean, shelve the hurt and disappointment, it's her journey and it won't help. I'm a little lost as to why you are hurt or disappointed. That needs some unpacking. Be kind and open, just start a chat and ask if she had any questions, enjoyed herself. You don't know the situation at all, so approach it with an open mind. What if she got raped, didn't feel safe to tell her parents or you, but got plan B to be responsible? Start by praising her for being responsible and prepared. Then tell her plan B should be used rarely, so she needs other because too. Explain that she needs condoms too to protect her from disease. Offer to take her where she needs to go. Then talk about respecting herself and others and how others should respect her. Then talk about her age and how her brain is not fully developed yet, so she can't really understand why it is a mistake, but you do, and you want to protect her physically, mentally and emotionally. Just to address some comments already posted here, talk to her privately before going to your parents. Just looked it up because it sounded fishy that a 12-year-old could get Plan B, and according to Planned Parenthood, in order to buy it over the counter you have to be 17, but you can get it when you are younger if you get it from a doctor. This means one of two scenarios happened. Either she got the Plan B from someone who is over 17 who was willing to buy it for her, which seems sketchy because 17-year-old don't normally have 12-year-old friends, and makes me think she may be being abused by someone older. Or the other scenario is she talked to her doctor and got it from them, which seems unlikely. Definitely build trust and figure out what's going on here because this seems shady. Seriously concerning. What store is going to just sell a 12-year-old a Plan B? Someone bought it for her. Major red flag for potential abuse happening. If it's safe, tell your parents. If that's not safe, tell your school authorities counselor. 12 is extremely young to be sexually active. Most won't be at that age unless they're led to it by someone else. And Plan B is not exactly an easy-going time. It isn't something you want to be popping regularly, so another concern is how many times this has already happened. These morning-after pills are an incredible hormonal assault on the body. Not to mention that they become less reliable after you've used them a few times. People have already mentioned concerns about sex and abuse. But I just wanted to add to that taking hormone pills should not be taken lightly. You should talk to your little sister about it in a friendly way and promise her you will help and protect her no matter what her answer is going to be. She is an underage girl, she needs shielding, not blame. Remember, we never blame underage kids, we help them out. Do not panic and don't show her your confusion, show her support and compassion. She must be panicking a lot already. My nephew 12 years old started having sex. Although disturbing, I think Plan B is better than getting pregnant at that age. Fingers crossed for you that it is innocent. I'm sorry, what's a Plan B? Clarify. Your sis 12F took an empty package from your room or she took a full pack and took the pill herself. Or you don't know where she got this package. Reading through it sounded like there was a chance of sexual conduct, abuse, and not just the normal 12F snooping that I totally did throughout my youth. You are the big sis and want privacy, she wants access to what it is to be an older person. If that's all, just talk to her about wanting to know what you're going through and your comfort level with allowing her that look at what your life now is. Did she for sure get that pack from you? Was it empty before she took it? It maybe wasn't hers at all. Does she go to in-person school? Hang out with friends in the neighborhood? Any sort of extracurricular activities? Have y'all had any family over, like cousins or something, that are of age to at least understand what sex does? Maybe she knows someone who used it and asked her to dispose of the packaging so that they wouldn't be caught with it, and maybe your sister didn't fully understand what it was and just left it lying about in her room. That's kinda worrying. Sad face. Even as a 14-year-old, I know that it's kinda weird at this age. At her age, it's extremely unlikely that whoever she may have been having pregnancy risk sex with, if they were around her age, would be able to get their hands on a Plan B pill. It's likely an older person, which sounds like a legal issue on top of a potential health risk, clearly unprotected sex, for your sister. Maybe probe a little and see who she might be talking to in terms of relationships, and if you find a moment where she's in a good mood, comfortable enough, you could gently approach her about it. I have had a similar situation with a 13Y family friend, like a sister to me, and honestly she's just a kid. No blame games, no shaming, just an open conversation and possible comforting is what she needs. Okay. Are you in the US? As far as I know, as long as you are above 12 or a similar age, I learned this about 3 years ago. I don't know if anything has changed, you can buy contraceptives, no questions asked. I 16F know of friends who have lost their virginity at 12 to 13. I also know that the adult film industry is not very well protected, and for sure accessible by 12-year-olds, so maybe she got ideas from there. 12 is when puberty happens, and hormones take reign. It is not normal, but could totally happen that she hooked up with a crush or a BF. When you talk to her, bring it up casually, and talk to her gently. If it is busy, tell someone immediately. If it is consensual, just make sure that she is healthy and tell her to come to you if anything happens. I say have the talk with her. It's honestly a lot easier to hear from a sibling. Tell her about STDs and all that fun stuff, and I say give her condoms and maybe tell your parents to get her on birth control. You can't stop somebody from being sexually active. Teenagers will do what they want. The best thing you can do is make sure she's safe. Although 12 is rather early to have a sex life, the reality is that at that age many people do have sex. What is most important is that she is aware of all the risks and responsibilities of having a sex life. I recommend that you have the sex talk with her. It is weird, but better talk now and not risk her getting pregnant. Plan B is not to be used frequently. If I remember correctly, it should be used once in 6 months tops. At that age, condoms are the only protection she can use. Contraceptive pills are an option too, but they don't protect from STDs. I lost my virginity at 12. I think the best thing you can do is talk them out of it, if it's between two of the same age who both consent, but either way I'd get them some condoms at least.